I was I was just speaking for like 5 seconds, only to realize I wasn't actually able to. This is another special though. That's basically what I was saying. This is another special. I think this is supposed to be my second special. I really need to figure out what I'm gonna do with these specials thing, whatever they are. But I thought it would be nice to show the actual reason, if you guys haven't already figured it out already, why I stopped doing speed builds. Like I still do builds, but why I stopped doing speed builds specifically and started doing tours instead, because I also wasn't going to try and do stop motion build because that takes too much time and I'm very lazy. Now on the topic of speed builds, building stop motion builds, I thought I'd do something a bit different and do what I see like almost every other builder YouTuber do and explain my thought process while going through this build, except I did one thing that I probably shouldn't have done. One, I built it before doing this recording, and two, I built it like a week before doing this recording. So this is me trying to remember what was going through my mind. I also just realized that I can't count because I said one, but then I went on to list two things random. I'm not gonna think about that. Also, I don't know what to call it. I'm stuffy because it's cold and the fan is on because I'm not turning off the fan. So let's try and deal with this. Okay, so take one on me trying to figure out what was going through. Okay, right here, definitely what was going through my mind is how to make this symmetrical, because I like symmetry. I prefer symmetrical builds to asymmetrical builds, and I think I spent most of the time, because this was a huge lot as well, I spent most of my time actually counting the tiles to try and figure out what I got going on, like where I'm supposed to put what, how I'm supposed to put this and that. I knew what I wanted to build because I kind of drew, if you can call that a drawing. I kind of just scribbled something on a piece of paper. I knew how I wanted the house to look, and I also knew these first parts that I'm doing are the parts that I actually knew this is definitely what you want to do. Like you want to have the ferns going around it. You want to have those CC royal stuff. Thank God I had those because the stones. We have a good amount of stones, but not a good amount of stones that I like to pick from. So thank God for these CC. I think that and the one of the furniture. I think what's it called? It's a music play box. I did not just forget the name of what is it called? You know when you play music on? They're not speaker. It's like jukebox. No, it's not a jukebox. Aren't those different? It's something. It is something. Alright, so right here again, I was trying to get it symmetrical. For this part here, I think I did something different with it. Either that or I let it stay. I know I made it bigger, but yeah, I'm making it bigger now, but I let it stay. I got this idea from Two Simmers. I don't remember their name, but I got this idea from them using the carpet. I don't know why I never thought about that, to use a carpet to make a round shape, except the shape wasn't perfectly round still because I was still using the terrain paint. Yeah, I was still using the terrain paint, so it still had rough edges, but I covered those rough edges with, see them here, grasses and leaves and whatever these things are called. Okay, I see why I don't do this anymore, but I guess it's actually better to have me rambling over this than if I was supposed to just put music. I think my attention span usually clicks out more if I'm not actively. No, actually, it doesn't. Does it? I appreciate how I said I was going to talk about the build and what was going through my mind during this build. But I'm not doing that, or at least maybe I am, but not necessarily what was going through my mind at with this build in like pertaining to the build itself. Like, what was that? Okay, so for right here, well, I think what I was going to do before the rain's falling. Anyways, I think what I was going to do before is just put a few plants around the circular area, but then I went and the rain is getting harder now. I went and I put more plants. I just completely filled the area. I think that looks good. Although that did not look good. That wow, thank you for filling that part in that wall, taking away the what's it called? I keep we're gonna deal with me forgetting names of things, okay? Because I don't know what's wrong with my memory, but we're gonna deal with that. So what I had in mind for this build, I hope you can hear me over this rain. What I had in mind for this build was a fairy build. So what actually happened is that I am playing this game. I'm playing this game, this princess fighting game, and I liked how the princesses looked, and I made stories of the princesses, stories that weren't really from the game itself, but I made some extra stories, correct? And I said, you know what? Why not make them in The Sims and play their stories? So I made them in The Sims and didn't play their stories, but that's fine. The rain's gone now. So anyways, sorry you had to go through that part with the rain. I'm not taking it out. What was I trying to do here that was definitely too dark? I didn't like that. I still kind of struggle with how I'm supposed to do the edges of these terrain paints, because it makes it look more realistic, like you have this slight divide between two terrain paints. It makes it look more it makes it look better, right? Yeah, like this. You can't really see it, but you can see, you get what I mean? But I still have an issue. Now over here on these both sides, I think this is where my what do you call it, my creative site stopped, because after these two, whatever you'd call them, these barred off places, I put some some activities. I told you we're going to deal with this. I put some activities for my Sims to do, but after this is where my creative site went away, because I didn't know what to do after this. I just knew I want the house to look like this, and here comes the rain again. Again, with this, I was still trying to keep it symmetrical. I did this on both sides. So both of them I was trying, you can see here, I'm trying to keep it in line as best as possible, but it still ended up not being equal for some weird reason. I have no idea why, because I made sure that I counted the bars, what are these called? As I was saying, I made sure I counted these things, and I still ended up with one side being longer or shorter, or well, if one side's longer, one side's obviously going to be shorter, but you get what I mean. I wanted them to be equal. I counted them so that they would be equal, and they ended up not being equal. I don't know why. It's weird. Why weren't they equal? That's still a mystery I'm trying to figure out, because I know I counted them, unless I thought I did and I didn't, or I just remembered I can't count. Never mind. But yes, they came out good enough. I didn't bother to really kill myself over these two parts, but for right here, you could see that the fences were sticking out if I put it directly in between whatever those things are called again. So what I did was I started it in front of it, and then I used a plant to hide it, which I think was a very good tactic. Where is my vocabulary going? I really liked that tactic though, because it made sense, and it looks good. It hides it from the front. You don't really need to see it from the back, so it's fine. We don't really care about the fact that it's not necessarily connected. It's fine. It looks good. They're all fine. I liked how this turned out. Like when you see the finished product, you'll believe me. My building process is just trust the process. That's how my building process goes. It starts off weird or ugly and turns out good enough. So this is where I actually started to do some sort of furnishing. As you can see, I'm trying to figure out which statue I should use. I think I went with one of the romantic garden statues or one of the vampire statues. Either one of them, because they do work. So I went with either one of them. This part here, would you call it a courtyard? Is it considered a courtyard? I have no idea. I'm pretty sure courtyards are supposed to be bigger and actually surrounded by the house. Yeah, surrounded by the house, hence a yard. But I don't know. I'm not that my architectural terminologies aren't that high tech for me to figure out which is which, but the sun is out. How is the sun? You know what? I think this is the part where I kind of gave up, probably, on on recording this build, because it just it I don't. Again, back to how I started this. This is exactly why I don't record myself speed building. I can't make up my mind. And even if I do like draw a floor plan ish, it doesn't it I think I spent like 3 days or five trying to finish this build. Like every day I'd come back and still spend like 3 4 plus hours on this build because I didn't know what to do. Like I knew what to do, I just didn't know where to start or how to do what I wanted to do. And then at the same time I also wanted it to be like unique ish, like unique to the builds I usually make. I usually make simple builds, and this is something I was struggling with in this build as well. I was trying not to make it so simple. Like it still looked simple. Look at it. It still looked simple to me. It looked very simple. Like I had a friend next to me and I was like, how can I make this not look so simple? Because I wanted to make it Princess Fairy-ish vibe, right? And I was like, how can I make it not look so simple? He was like, put more flowers. But then he was also a simple person, so I guess it didn't really help that two simple people were trying to make something that was out of this world. But that I mean, simple is fine. I was just trying to get out of my comfort zone again, but it didn't really work. This is literally me trying to figure out what to do. As you can see here, there has been some little tinkering going on outside of this. I think this is where I kind of stopped recording and then continued again. Meaning that I basically I stopped the video and then I just finished the house. Well, not necessarily finished the house. I just added the exterior part of the house and then I started again because I couldn't. What's worse than me doing the terrain plan is me doing the floor plan. I swear I don't think I even did the floor plan at this time. I just did how I wanted the exterior to look because I at least had that goal in mind of how I wanted it to look, with a bunch of windows coming down and the roof trims, the roof decorations. That's what they're called, right? Or the window decorations. One of them. I wanted those to. I knew how I wanted the outside of the house to look, basically, like this. I think this is where I was actually showing my friend how the house looked. I don't remember because I was doing like two things at the time or three. I was studying, I was showing him how the house looked, and I was building the house at the same time. So it was one of those days. But for here, after this, I think I figured out most of what I wanted to do for the outside, and I think I kind of just accepted the fact that I don't want an over the top house anymore. A castle. I kind of wanted it to be a castle, but then it was kind of small. Like the interior of this is small. Like the house is big for a normal house, but small for a castle. You know what I mean? It's like not even a mansion. It's just a big family house. But I still wanted it to resemble castle-ish vibes, which is kind of why the decorations suit such. But yeah, it looked fine. The when I was finished with it, it was okay. I was happy. I also like the fact that uh, it was functional because I put some things very close to each other, and like the courtyard. I'm calling the courtyard like the part where barred in with the fences and such. I liked how they could actually go and sit down because that's one reason why I don't like to clutter my houses that much because then I have this fear that it's not going to work. I should have probably done that before. just use the daisies as the flowers because the daisies are more soft than these things. So anyways, what I was saying is that I don't like using clutter because I have this fear that, oh my god, now I'm gonna have to like redo the whole house because my Sims cannot go where they want to go. But then it's weird because they go where I expect them not to be able to go, but then where I expect them to be able to go, they don't go. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why that happens because it normally happens with um the stoves. It normally happens when I'm making the kitchen and they can't cook because they either can't reach the stove or they can't reach the what's it called, the fridge. And I'm like, why? It's right there in front of you. Like they can go in front of the fridge, they just can't reach the fridge. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to assume though that that's a bug because it usually also happens mostly when I'm renovating apartments as well, and it sucks. Oh my god, it's terrible. I hate when it happens because then I end up having to rearrange the whole house. I remember I built a house. I think that was like my dream college-ish house thing. I don't think I posted this as it, or maybe I did. I built it and the kitchen was nice and the sim couldn't cook for some reason. I didn't know why. I made her stand up on the thing. She could. She just couldn't cook. And I didn't know why she couldn't cook. It's like if I moved the stove to the area where I put the counter and the counter to the area where I put the stove, she'd still be able to reach the counter, but not the stove. It's like it's the stove itself that was the issue, but also the placement. It didn't make sense. I hate that. It has to be a glitch. It must be a glitch. It can't be anything else because I actively didn't put anything there to block the same. So it I don't know. It's just a weird glitch. But yeah, due to the fact that Sims can't even reach much of anything, I try my best not to clutter. But it worked. It worked and I loved it. Okay, so for here, this is the video where I stopped. This is the last video I stopped recording myself building because as you can see from this video, I was still really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I don't think I did what I wanted to do because I didn't want both parts of the house, like both of these parts to be the same thing, the exact same thing. It's like symmetry and all, but not the exact same thing. Maybe one part they'd have like an activity thing going on, and the next part they would have like an outside dining. But I didn't know what else to put. I didn't like if you can figure out anything else you could possibly put, then by all means put it there if you don't know this house. But it was such a weird. I didn't know what to do because it's also a small space, so I couldn't put anything big. I also couldn't put anything quirky, if that's what you call it, because it's like I want it to be princessy. I want it to be stereotypical princess fairy stuff. So I didn't really put a lot of stuff, but yeah, this is coming down to the end of the speed build aspect of it. The next part is just the montage. This is why I don't record myself building again. You see how long this took, and I sped it up 18, 20 plus minutes. I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. This is exactly why I don't show myself or record myself building. I'd have to like speed it up, like really, really speed it up for you to like not get such a long video. And even then, most of it will just be me trying to figure out what I want to do, and the rest will be me cutting out the parts where I was trying to figure out what I want to do. And then at the montage, that would just basically be the part where you actually see the end product. Because the thing is, I cannot just do it. For some people it works, and sometimes it works for me if I definitely know what I want to do. But if I don't definitely know what I want to do, I can't just make a floor plan outside of the Sims and then bring it to the Sims and say, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this, because well, the Sims doesn't have everything that I can possibly use to build something. And at the same time, if I think about something, then I'm probably going to remember, oh, I can't do this in the Sims. And if it is something I can do in the Sims, it's like it takes a while. And yeah, it's just I can't make a floor plan outside of the. I have to actively go into the game and figure out what I want to do, because the next issue is going to be How big is the lot? How small is the lot? What are the ratios I'm going to have to be dealing with? Because again, what I told you with this house, it's small but it's big, but I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird. I don't the size. I think the size is the main problem. The size is probably the main problem, and the wallpaper, and just what's gonna look good in the game. So I really I can't make a floor plan outside of The Sims and depend solely on that floor plan. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And then when I'm in the game, sometimes I think, okay, maybe I can switch things up a little, do something different. I want to experiment, but I can't do that outside of the game. And then when I'm in the game, it's like, ha, too lazy. But anyways, here's the montage.